Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to NAUI's Dive Team Report. I'm your host, Greg Martin. Everyone these days has been talking about their bucket lists and the things that they want to do, all those things they want to check off. Hopefully one of them is learning to scuba dive from a NAUI dive shop. But, you know, I've been fortunate in my lifetime to have checked off most of those items except for one. And someday, very soon, I want to go and dive with my absolute favorite fish in the ocean, the manta ray. I've been fascinated with the manta basically all my life, so it's with great pleasure that I have my guest this week on the podcast, Dr. Andrea Marshall, also known as the Queen of Mantas. Andrea, thanks for joining us. What brought you to mantas?
Well, I've always been a shark lover, to tell you the truth. Ever since I was about 5 years old, my mom says I've been obsessed with sharks. And I'm not really sure where that came from. I must have watched a good documentary when I was young. But I have been in love with mantas my whole life. I didn't really particularly anticipate studying them because I was so obsessed with sharks. But it was when I was in Africa at about 22 years of age, and I was volunteering my services as a scientist to the IUCN, and we were kind of doing the red list assessments, that I realized that no one had really studied this animal. And it's one of my favorite animals in the ocean. And when I realized that no one knew anything about it and that they were probably threatened, that I decided to, dedicate my life to learning more about them.
So is that where the Queen of Manta Ray thing stuck?
Well, actually, as I was busy doing my PhD along the Mozambican coastline, I'd found a population of mantas there, and I thought this would be a perfect location to, start really the first study on mantas. The PhD that I did was the very first one that's ever been done on mantas. And as I was doing my study, in a little reed hut in the middle of nowhere, I was contacted by the BBC, who were also fascinated with mantas, and they were saying, no one's ever done a show about mantas. We really want to do a show, and we hear that you're studying them, and, would you like to do a show with us? And so we filmed for about 2.5 years, and they put out a documentary and honored me after seeing my work by, titling me the Queen of Mantas, which kind of stuck after that.
Nice. I want to play something real quick here and then get your comments in regards to this, okay? I'm throwing you on the spot here, so here we go.
That's all right.
People often refer to me as an obsessive speciologist. Most people call me a conservation biologist, which is true, and now an emerging explorer. I don't know. I'm actually just a girl that likes fish.
So you're just a girl who likes fish.
It is true. I love fish, actually. It's a more proper sort of way to say it.
That was from the National Geographic Live with you talking about, obviously, your love of that. What is the one thing, is there one thing that you want people to know more than anything else about mantas?
Yeah, I think that I mean, one of the things that I'm obsessed about in terms of fish, and I use manta rays to illustrate this, is that they're a lot more complex than I think people give them credit for. And with the sharks and the rays, I think these are animals that are in a lot of trouble. Most of them are, listed as either near threatened or vulnerable or, endangered on the IUCN red lists, and suggesting that, they're in quite a bit of trouble as a group. And they're very important to ecosystems, but even more than that, these are actually really incredible animals, very complex, evolutionarily speaking, just, amazing in terms of how they've penetrated into different environments. But even more than that, they're just, some of them are very intelligent. Some of them are very charismatic. The manta ray is, one of the most engaging animals you can spend time with underwater, in terms of their curiosity and their wanting to interact with humans. And I just want people to know that, I think that element of it was what drove the big campaigns to save whales back in the day, when they heard they lived in communities and they sung to each other, and they took care of their young. I think when people started to see that these were compassionate, gentle animals, they wanted to protect them. And I want people to know that fish, are like that as well, and we need to protect them as well.
Speaking of singing to animals, your little one is singing to us in the background, and I love that.
Yeah, can you hear her?
I love to hear children having a good time, so.
Yeah, no, I just recently became a mother. It's really exciting to be, a field biologist and be traveling around the world. My husband and I probably travel 7 to 8 months a year, and now it's not an added complication, but it's certainly another element of interest, to bring along a young toddler with us everywhere. But I think she's having a great time, and I hope for great things for her in the future in terms of the oceans.
Well, you became a diver at a very young age. Did
Yes,
I
I
read
did.
like 12?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was interested in learning how to dive since I was about 10, and at the time you couldn't get certified until you were 12, I think, as a junior open water. And I literally wrote my test on my 12th birthday. That's what I was doing on my 12th birthday. I was over eager, you can say, and I've been in love with the oceans ever since.
And I guess that would be a good happy birthday for that nice birthday
Yes, I
present.
was very happy with my parents for supporting me.
You also invite people to come along.
I do. I really believe in, that whole idea of you protect what you love. And I really want people to experience, the ocean for themselves, experience some of these animals. And so I'm really encouraging, my whole foundation is really encouraging and very proactive in trying to get people to conduct citizen science, to come out into the field with researchers. We're a young team. We definitely are not one of those scientists that kind of hangs out in a laboratory and doesn't engage with the public. And so I developed these Ray of Hope expeditions where people can actually join myself and our researchers in the field doing work on mantas so that they can find out more and get excited and figure out how to, support the cause.
Any thoughts of bringing an old media guy along to?
Oh, we could always use an old media guy with a smooth voice.
Nice. Well, I tell you what. Again, you will probably see me one of these days because my love for the oceans, for the manta. I guess one of the things I want to say is thanks for the work you're doing and for bringing the manta to light. It's wonderful to see.
It's a pleasure. It's a real honor to be able to work on these animals. And, I've been very fortunate to have, great coverage of the work that we do. My partnership with National Geographic and BBC, has been really instrumental in having the platform to be able to address these issues globally and to reach so many people around the world. And I'm just so happy that people know more about the problems surrounding mantas and their conservation, and all of these other sort of sharks and rays are getting attention off the back of that as well. And so it's really been really fantastic.
All right. Be sure and check out website is queenofmantas.com.
Yep, it is.
All right. Andrea, thanks for spending some time with us today. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks.
And that is this episode of NAUI's Dive Team Report. Check out that website, queenofmantas.com. I'm Greg Martin. Thanks for listening. I'll see you underwater.